Admiral Jake Morrison stood quietly on the bridge of his command ship, gazing through the main viewport at the endless stars. The Third Expeditionary Fleet had been en route for 3 months since leaving Earth's outermost colonies. 12. Vessels drifted in flawless formation through the cold, uncharted space between solar systems. Their objective was clear: chart new trade routes and establish peaceful contact with any alien civilizations they encountered. By galactic standards, the fleet was modest. These were exploration ships with only light defensive capabilities. Each vessel relied on stable fusion reactors humming steadily in their engine cores. The weapons on board were simple: railguns and missile arrays, nothing that screamed aggression. Earth's leadership had insisted this first mission into deep, space project friendliness above all. Morrison was a 22-year veteran of Earth's Navy. He had fought in the bloody colony wars and helped engineer the defensive grid that safeguarded human-controlled space. But this mission was different. Now they were the outsiders in someone else's domain. Lieutenant Commander Rick Davis approached with a data pad. "Sir, detecting unusual energy readings in the next star system. Could be artificial structures. Near the 4th planet." Morrison took the pad, eyes narrowing at the data. The signatures weren't natural. Something was active, building or excavating. "Any indication of ships or defenses?" he asked. "Nothing so far, sir. Our range is limited this far out," Davis replied. Morrison gave a small nod. Earth's vessels were designed to operate within the communication relays and support grids of human-controlled territory. Out here, they were flying blind. "Signal the fleet," Morrison ordered. "We'll drop out of FTL at the system's edge. Scan everything before making contact." 2 hours later, the 12 ships of the Third Expeditionary Fleet exited, faster than light travel. At once, their sensors lit up with data from a vibrant star system. The 4th planet teemed with sprawling cities and ringed orbital platforms. Giant mining stations clawed at the asteroid belt. Interplanetary ships moved in regular, well-organized lanes. Captain Amy Rodriguez, commander of the destroyer Liberty, oversaw tactical analysis. She was Morrison's lead on alien tech and had spent 5 years studying it. Her task now was to analyze and report anything significant back to Earth. "Admiral," she said, "detecting at least 40 vessels deeper in the system. Their drives emit plasma trails, far beyond our fusion capabilities." Morrison felt his gut twist. First contact with a technologically superior species had always been fraught. Earth had learned that the hard way 2 decades ago, when robotic surveyors entered the solar system. The probes had posed no threat, but their message had been unmistakable. Humanity was still a child among galactic powers. "Have they noticed us?" he asked. "No movement yet. We might still be too far for precise detection," Rodriguez responded. Morrison turned to his comms officer. "Send a first contact transmission. Use standard protocol. Make it clear we're peaceful explorers from Earth." The message was crafted using math-based communication, showcasing elemental physics, Earth's location on star charts, and basic data on human biology and society. An answer arrived within the hour. The alien transmission was aggressive and laced with warnings. The translation AI strained with the language but got the core meaning across. These aliens called themselves the Kafir Empire. They claimed the entire region as sovereign territory. All outsider vessels had to submit to inspection and pay tribute to pass safely. Morrison reread the message slowly, then summoned his senior officers to the briefing room. Captain Rodriguez entered first with tactical notes on the alien ships. Commander Tony Chun brought an analysis of their communication tech. Lieutenant Sarah Kim had been eavesdropping on encrypted military traffic. "What are we dealing with?" Morrison asked the room. Rodriguez answered first. "The Kafir are more advanced. Their ships outclass ours in size, speed, and firepower. They're armed with directed energy weapons capable of slicing right through our hulls. Chun added, "Their comm systems are impressive, but they're too relaxed. They've made no effort to mask transmissions or mobilize. It's like they don't see us as a legitimate threat." Morrison turned to the system display, noting the spread of alien vessels across key planets and orbital routes. "How many ships total?" he asked. "At least, we're tracking 60 ships," Rodriguez reported. "Most appear to be civilian freighters and mining craft, but at least 20 are military grade." The odds were grim. Morrison had anticipated this scenario when Earth greenlit the expedition. Deep space was unpredictable and not every crew returned, but he also carried orders that reached beyond exploration. "Chun, begin full-spectrum recording," Morrison instructed. "Everything: technology, communication protocols, tactical, behavior." Rodriguez was already activating Protocol 7, but quietly. The directive was Earth's hidden contingency for hostile contact with unknown species. Every ship would engage the enemy with everything it had, while simultaneously gathering strategic data. That intel would be relayed back to Earth via quantum communication, assuming the aliens didn't detect it. These quantum communicators were humanity's most tightly protected innovation. Every ship in the fleet carried one, capable of transmitting messages instantly across any distance using quantum entanglement. Even if the fleet was obliterated, Earth would still receive every byte of information. Morrison knew what that really meant. Protocol 7 was a suicide mission dressed as strategy. The fleet would resist, fall, and in doing so, deliver tactical insight that could help Earth face the Kafir Empire in the future. It was harsh, but necessary. Another alien message arrived, and it was even less diplomatic than the first. The Kafir now demanded unconditional surrender. All human vessels were to prepare for immediate boarding. Already their ships were repositioning to encircle the fleet. The trap was closing. Morrison looked around the briefing room at his senior officers. These people had volunteered to leave Earth, possibly for years. Now they were staring down certain death in a battle no one might even hear about in time. "Everyone," Morrison said, his voice level, "we knew this might happen. Our mission is to collect and return critical information. If we can't get home, then we make damn sure the data does." Rodriguez was back on her bridge, checking weapon status. "How long do we have?" she asked. Morrison consulted the display. Red markers bloomed across the map like a tightening net. "Maybe 6 hours until they're in ideal firing range," he said. "Let's make every minute count." The first shot struck Liberty precisely at 0400 shipboard time. Captain Rodriguez felt the tremor roll through the hull as the destroyer shook under the force of an alien plasma bolt. Red lights flared across the bridge. Crew scrambled to stations. Alarms shrieked. "Shields at 60%, the tactical officer shouted. "Multiple hostile contacts inbound from the asteroid field." Rodriguez had been waiting for this moment ever since the Kafir ultimatum ran out. The enemy had been hiding, coiled in asteroid. Shadows like predators waiting to pounce. Now they struck with merciless coordination. 23 Kafir warships closed in on the 12 human vessels, confident in their firepower and numbers. "Return fire, all batteries," Rodriguez ordered. "Concentrate on the lead cruiser. Hit it with everything." The Liberty's railguns thundered. Hyper-accelerated tungsten rounds tore through the vacuum toward the nearest alien vessel. The Kafir's energy shields absorbed much of the kinetic punishment, but Rodriguez saw flickers in the shimmering field, weakness under the barrage. Morrison's voice echoed across all channels. "All ships, initiate Protocol 7 now. Prioritize sensor logging on enemy units. Transmit continuously. Send everything." Rodriguez knew what he meant. They weren't going to win, but their sacrifice would be a lesson carved in fire and data. Earth's strategists would learn how to counter the Kafir from their ashes. Aboard Morrison's flagship, Commander Tony Chun worked feverishly at his console. His station was linked directly to long-range sensors, data storage, and the quantum comms core. Recording all signals, he confirmed. They're using plasma frequencies beyond anything we've replicated, pure theory until now. Kafer plasma cannons glowed bright on the displays. The spectral data indicated emissions unlike any fusion-based weapon. Their hulls were even stranger, constructed with exotic alloys that bent or dispersed energy in nearly incomprehensible ways. "Admiral," Chun called out, "I'm getting high-res scans of their weapon arrays. The plasma guns draw from a zero-point energy source, way more efficient than fusion. Maybe orders of magnitude." Morrison leaned forward, eyes cold. "Send everything, every scan, every fluctuation. If we don't survive this, we make sure Earth does." Admiral Morrison stared grimly at his tactical display as red indicators, enemy ships, closed in from all sides. The human fleet's formation was disintegrating under the precise and unrelenting assault. Already, 3 ships showed catastrophic damage, and the battle had barely passed the 10-minute mark. "Keep transmitting, Chun," Morrison ordered. "Earth needs everything, every scan, every pattern." Hidden deep within his flagship, the quantum communication system operated at full output. Every scrap of information about the Kafir's weapons, strategies, and ship design was being beamed in real time to Earth's military command. Even if none of them survived, the data would. On the bridge, Lieutenant Sarah Kim monitored enemy comm traffic. The Kafir weren't even encrypting their tactical chatter. Their confidence was almost insulting. "Sir," Kim said, "they're routing all commands through a centralized ship. Looks like a top-down structure. Very little room for individual decisions." Morrison nodded slightly. A rigid hierarchy was a potential vulnerability. If Earth's forces could isolate or disable that command hub, the enemy's coordination might collapse. That was something Earth strategists would want to know. Suddenly, the destroyer New York took 3 direct hits. Blazing lines of plasma slammed into the hull. But Captain Bill Harper kept his ship online long enough to empty his missile bays at a nearby Kafir cruiser. The resulting nuclear detonations lit up the void, blooming in violent flashes across the tactical grid. "They're having an effect," Rodriguez reported from Liberty. "Their shields can't fully absorb sustained nuclear strikes." That was critical. Earth had an abundance of nuclear warheads and the factories to build more. If the alien defenses could be worn down by such weapons, humanity might stand a chance in future conflicts. The Kafir had clearly not expected that. Rodriguez watched as several enemy vessels began pulling back, now more cautious in their approach. In Morrison's engine room, Lieutenant Commander Rick Davis fought to maintain power. The ship shuddered under incoming fire, damage cascading through multiple systems. Smoke filled the corridors. Teams sprinted past exposed conduits, trying to patch systems faster than the aliens could destroy them. "Sir, we're losing containment in Reactor 2, Davis warned over internal comms. "If we drop main power, the quantum transmitter shuts down." Morrison didn't hesitate. "Shut down all non-essentials. Prioritize the transmitter. That signal must keep going, no matter what." The battle raged for 6 brutal hours, just as Morrison had predicted. One after another, the human ships fell, each vessel silenced by the superior firepower of the Kafir Armada. But none of them died quietly. Each fought to the last moment, sensors running, transmitters pulsing. Even as hulls split and life support failed, the fleet fulfilled its mission to learn everything and send it home. The destroyer Liberty remained, the final human vessel still maneuvering. Rodriguez had lost over half her crew, and most of her weapons systems were in ruins. But she kept moving, dodging plasma bolts, engines straining. Victory was long out of reach, survival too. Her objective now was simple: observe, document, transmit. "Captain, life support's failing," her engineer reported. "Hull breaches everywhere." Rodriguez looked at the display. The ship was bleeding atmosphere. Decks were crumbling. Yet the quantum transmitter still pulsed, its beacon alive. Earth was still listening. The Kefir fleet surrounded the remnants of the battlefield. Every extra second Liberty remained operational meant more data for Earth's defense. "Keep the signal going until we lose power," Rodriguez ordered. "Earth must understand how these aliens wage war." The final plasma blast that struck Liberty tore through its hull, and with it, the Battle of Century came to an end. 23 Kefir warships had decimated 12 human vessels with minimal losses. War Commander Zexil reviewed the victory with satisfaction as his fleet moved in to salvage what remained of the human wreckage. It was, by all appearances, a flawless win, but the Kefir had no idea what they had truly done. For 6 straight hours, Earth's military command had watched the Kefir in action via real-time quantum relays. Every weapon fired, every maneuver executed, every signature recorded and transmitted. Admiral Morrison and his fleet were gone, but their sacrifice had left Earth with something priceless: a full tactical and technological analysis of the Kefir Empire's combat systems. 3 weeks after the battle, War Commander Zexil addressed the Imperial Science Collective on Keth Prime. The vast auditorium brimmed with the Empire's top researchers, all eager to inspect the primitive technology captured from the alien intruders. "Honored minds of the Empire," Zexil announced with pride, "I present the war gear of a species that dared challenge our supremacy." Around him, captured human equipment was arranged on tables for inspection. Fusion cores sat beside railgun, barrels, their design functional but rudimentary by Keth standards. Zero-point reactors and plasma weapons stood in silent contrast nearby. The scientists moved among the exhibits with more amusement than intrigue. Chief Science Advisor Moruk examined a fusion reactor with a frown. "This tech is at least 2 millennia behind ours. How did they even achieve faster-than-light travel with such elementary systems?" Deep within the Keth fortress, Admiral Morrison watched the broadcast from a reinforced cell. He and 46 surviving humans had been spared. For now. Zexil believed more hidden fleets existed, and he wanted answers. One of those prisoners, Dr. Helen Wright, was considered the most valuable. Earth's foremost xenotechnology expert, she had a rare grasp of both human and alien engineering principles. The Kefir had isolated her in a laboratory, pressing her to explain Earth's technologies to their research division. "Your fusion systems are inefficient," said the scientist Yolok, peering into a deconstructed reactor. "Why use such wasteful methods when superior ones are available?" Helen kept her face composed. "Our engineering priorities differ from yours. We emphasize reliability and modular simplicity over raw efficiency." What she didn't share was more important. Earth's fusion cores were designed for adaptability. The same unit powering a starship could be converted into a weapon, restructured for deep mining, or retooled into mobile infrastructure. Human engineers had learned to prioritize versatility. Their frontier was chaotic and unforgiving. Systems had to do more than one job. Elsewhere, Communications Officer Paul Turner sat quietly in the Oregon's medbay, a bandage across his forehead. The Kefir had destroyed the ship's main quantum transmitter, but missed a hidden backup system embedded in the medical gear. The transmitter, disguised as a heart monitor, had been broadcasting non-stop since the fleet's destruction. Turner pretended to recover from wounds while continuing his real task: gathering intelligence. Every conversation overheard, every observation of Kefir politics, military procedures, or technical behavior, he logged and transmitted it. Earth still listened. The transmissions traveled instantly across the stars. Every message Officer Turner intercepted confirmed one thing: the Kefir were overconfident. The chatter among their command revealed a dangerous assumption: that destroying Morrison's fleet proved total human inferiority. The Keth High Command had already begun planning their invasion of human space, expecting an easy conquest of Earth's colonies. But Earth's response had already begun moving the moment Morrison's last signal went dark. The Solar Defense Council had contingency plans in place for exactly this scenario. Fleets across human territory received orders to mobilize. Weapon plants surged into non-stop production. Admiral Karen Foster received her activation orders while commanding the Second Battle Fleet near Proxima Centauri. Her force consisted of 37 warships equipped with Earth's most cutting-edge systems. Technologies still experimental when Morrison launched his expedition were now field-ready. The battle, data transmitted by Morrison's fleet, had transformed Earth's understanding of Kafir warfare. For 3 intense weeks, engineers dissected every moment of the engagement, crafting countermeasures and arming new vessels with upgraded weaponry. War Commander Zexel made his fatal error when he sought political glory. He announced that prisoners would be showcased at the upcoming Imperial Council session on Kef Prime. His aim was to display the captured officers before the Galactic Trade Consortium, proving the Empire's strength and discouraging rebellion. The broadcast reached every major species in the consortium, both as a warning and a spectacle. The message was clear. Those who challenged Kefir dominance would be humbled publicly. Admiral Morrison had been selected as the centerpiece of the Victory Parade. Zexel intended for the human commander to acknowledge the Empire's superiority before being executed before a crowd of diplomats. Morrison accepted his role with stoic resolve, the same leadership that made him one of Earth's most respected officers. He understood that his death, if inevitable, could still serve a greater cause. The intelligence his fleet gathered would save lives in the war ahead. Dr. Helen Wright continued her forced collaboration in the enemy's research facility. But while the Kefir scientists questioned her about human technology, she quietly observed their procedures and absorbed every detail. Their overconfidence made them careless. They openly discussed classified systems and displayed advanced weapon designs in front of her. Of particular interest to them were human computing systems. They couldn't understand how such primitive processors controlled advanced targeting systems during combat. Helen explained that human software wasn't just fast, it was adaptable. Earth's programs were built to learn and evolve in real time. What the Kefir failed to realize was that Morrison's weapon systems had been doing exactly that during the battle. They had recorded shield harmonics, armor weaknesses, and tactical behaviors, data now being used to optimize new countermeasures and targeting solutions. Then came the message that made Turner smile for the first time since his capture. A coded transmission came through his hidden backup system. Earth's fleet had arrived at the edge of Kefir territory and begun covert reconnaissance. Admiral Foster's ships were operating with extreme caution, guided by the intelligence Morrison's crew had died to collect. The rescue operation was now underway. The Kefir had made the classic strategic mistake, underestimating their opponent after a single victory. They assumed that crushing 12 ships meant understanding humanity's full capacity for war. They couldn't fathom that Earth's true strength had never been deployed beyond the solar system, until now. War Commander Zexel studied the victory celebration plans with smug satisfaction. Human prisoners would be paraded in chains before the assembled species of the Trade Consortium. The spectacle would confirm the Empire's absolute dominance and solidify its rule for generations. And at that very moment, Admiral Karen Foster dropped out of faster-than-light transit on the outer edge of Keth space, leading the largest human fleet ever assembled. Outside the solar system, 67 human warships emerged in flawless formation, their sensors fanned outward, mapping every inch of unfamiliar alien territory. This fleet, under Admiral Karen Foster's command, was nothing like the diplomatic convoy Admiral Morrison had led weeks earlier. These vessels had been engineered specifically for high-threat combat, each one forged with the lessons of Morrison's sacrifice embedded into its design, armor, and firepower. "Admiral, we're picking up multiple Kefir installations," reported Captain Dan Murphy from the tactical console. Orbital defenses, mining stations, and a major shipyard orbiting the third planet. Foster studied the stream of data on her display. The aliens had created a powerful industrial complex here, but had made the fatal mistake of overconcentration. So many critical targets in one region was a strategic flaw ripe for exploitation. "Begin Phase 1, she ordered. "Target their mining infrastructure first." The assault was swift and surgical. Instead of engaging the Kafir in traditional ship-to-ship warfare, Foster's fleet systematically destroyed the systems that supported the enemy war machine. Gravity well weapons destabilized orbital platforms without warning. Quantum torpedoes, existing across dimensional states, phased through solid matter and detonated inside targets. The same shields that had blocked Morrison's conventional missiles were useless now. War Commander Zexil was reviewing plans for his victory parade when the first alerts hit his terminal. A massive human fleet had emerged from deep space and was dismantling the outer colonies of the Empire in real time. "How many ships?" he demanded, already standing. "Over 60 confirmed, sir," his aide answered. "All of them appear to be war class, and they're using weapons we don't understand." Zexil went cold. These were not the backward humans he had defeated at Century. This was something else. How had such a fleet been built so quickly? On Kef Prime, Colonel Steve Martinez led a precision strike to liberate Morrison and the other captured personnel. His unit, 40 Marines in adaptive armor, had spent weeks studying alien security patterns thanks to Turner's hidden transmissions. The assault on the detention facility began precisely at midnight. When most of the guards were off shift, the BAB team moved under full cloaking. Their suits refracted light, rendering them nearly invisible to standard Kefir optics. "Remember the layout," Martinez whispered over the comms. "Morrison's on level 12, maximum security. Right? And the science team are in the research sector. We get them all, then exfil. They advanced like phantoms, weapons silent, movements exact. Their gear included sonic disruptors tuned to frequencies that incapacitated Kafir without lasting harm, a detail gleaned from Morrison's early data. In his cell, Admiral Morrison heard the faint buzz of human tech outside his door. Then, the desk's energy barrier flickered and dropped. Martinez appeared, rifle ready. Morrison gave a tired smile. "About time, Colonel. Thought Earth left us behind." "Never, sir. Transport's waiting, but we need to move. Fast. They'll catch on soon." Room by room, the humans reclaimed their own. Dr. Helen Wright and the scientists were pulled from the labs, along with every piece of alien tech they could carry. The Kafir had grown so arrogant they had allowed the prisoners unsupervised access to highly sensitive military systems. Above, Admiral Foster's ships continued to reduce the Empire's infrastructure. Planet-side, ground vessels equipped with adaptive shielding confounded enemy fire. These shields recalibrated energy signatures, in real time neutralizing whatever plasma or beam weapon the Kefir deployed. Captain Lisa Green commanded the heavy cruiser Washington, tasked with eliminating the primary Kafir shipyard. Her vessel deployed specialized quantum torpedoes engineered to destabilize molecular bonds. Entire orbital structures disintegrated, at the atomic level, with each impact. "Target neutralized," Green reported, watching another alien facility erupt into shimmering debris. "Shifting to next objective." Admiral Foster monitored her tactical screen as red enemy icons blinked out one after another. The Kefir attempted to mount a response, but their rigid chain of command was slowing them down. Without direct orders from higher-ups, most captains hesitated to engage. The Empire's doctrine was collapsing under pressure. 6 hours into the assault, War Commander Zexil finally arrived with the main Kafir fleet, 43 warships, including his dreadnought. He expected to overwhelm the humans with superior firepower and traditional tactics. What he encountered defied every principle of war he had known. The human fleet operated with unified fluidity. Ships adjusted roles mid-battle, adapting to live, sensor data, and compensating for each other's vulnerabilities. When Kafir ships concentrated fire on one vessel, the others shifted to shield it and exploit newly exposed enemy flanks. "Their tactics make no sense," muttered Fleet Captain Morik aboard Zexil's flagship. "They sacrifice individual advantages just to preserve overall cohesion. How are they coordinating this?" Zexil had no answer. Human fleet operations didn't rely on rigid hierarchy. Each vessel acted autonomously, yet remained perfectly synchronized, as though guided by a shared mind. It was unlike anything in consortium history. The Battle of Keth Prime lasted 3 full days and altered the course of galactic civilization. By the end, the Kefir Empire had lost 60% of its fleet and most of its manufacturing capacity. A civilization that had ruled local space for 800 years had been humbled by the very species they had dismissed as primitive. Colonel Martinez's extraction team successfully retrieved all 47 human captives and returned them to Admiral Foster's fleet. The intelligence they carried regarding Kefir technology and strategies would be critical in future conflicts with other hostile powers. Admiral Morrison stood once more on a bridge, not as a prisoner, but as a soldier returned from the edge. He watched as Keth Prime burned in the distance, its orbital defenses gone, its shipyards reduced to floating wreckage. The Empire would need decades to recover. "Admiral, incoming transmission," Foster's comms officer reported. "Zexil is requesting to discuss surrender terms." Foster turned to Morrison. After all he had endured, he had earned the right to decide what came next. His face was stern, but there was a quiet satisfaction in his eyes. "Tell them we'll talk surrender after they agree to full reparations," Morrison said, "for their unprovoked attack on our exploration fleet." 6 weeks later, an emergency summit of the Galactic Trade Consortium was held on neutral ground, Nexus Station. Representatives from 47 species assembled in the towering council hall to address what was already being called the most significant upheaval in 1,000 years of galactic history. Ambassador Lisa Parker entered the chamber wearing the simple blue uniform of Earth's diplomatic service. Conversations slowed, then stopped entirely as delegates turned to watch her approach. Everyone knew why she was here and what her people had done. The consortium had long assumed that older species possessed inherently superior militaries and technologies. Civilizations that had mastered faster-than-light travel eons ago were treated as natural leaders. Earth, a young upstart on the galactic stage, had shattered that myth at Keth Prime over younger races like humanity. The fall of the Kether Empire shattered that illusion. High Arbiter Velian opened the emergency session from his station in the center of the council circle. An ancient figure who had presided over consortium affairs for 3 centuries, even he had never witnessed anything like this. "We convene today to assess the actions of the species known as humans," Velian declared, "and their implications for the existing galactic order." Ambassador Lisa Parker stepped to the speaker's podium, the same place where emerging species once pleaded for trade access and recognition. 6 months ago, she would have been just another voice begging for protection. Now, she stood representing a power none could ignore. "Honored delegates," she began, her voice steady and clear, "humanity formally petitions for full membership in the Galactic Trade Consortium, with all rights, privileges, and responsibilities granted to sovereign civilizations." The chamber erupted. Delegates spoke over one another. Translation units blinked to life across the room as Parker's words echoed through dozens of dialects. The very species that had just dismantled one of the consortium's most dominant empires was demanding equal footing. It was unprecedented. Delegate Morg of the hegemony rose from his seat, his tone bristling. His people had long benefited from their alliance with the Kefir, profiting through shared dominance. The humans have shown they are capable of destruction, Morg said. But that does not grant them legitimacy. They lack the cultural maturity and political stability expected of consortium members. Parker had prepared for this. Earth's intelligence agencies had mapped out potential objections in detail. I appreciate Delegate Morg's concerns, she replied coolly. But I wonder, would he care to explain how enabling military aggression and endorsing attacks on peaceful explorers qualifies as cultural superiority? Silence. The chamber grew still as delegates absorbed the counterattack. Parker pressed forward. Humanity did not fire the first shot. We were conducting legal exploration in unclaimed space. The response we gave was precise, defensive, and targeted only at military assets. We acted with restraint, even when provoked. High Arbiter Velian lifted a crystalline data tablet and reviewed the official records. His voice was solemn as he spoke. The consortium acknowledges that human ships were engaged in lawful exploration when attacked by Kefir forces. Furthermore, evidence confirms that the human counteroffensive focused exclusively on military infrastructure and combatants. All eyes turned to the section of the chamber reserved for defeated civilizations. War Commander Zexel sat slumped in his seat, stripped of rank, presence, and pride. His empire had surrendered on terms dictated by Admiral Foster. Now, he was here as a symbol of defeat. He stood slowly. His voice was barely audible, but it was recorded for the archives nonetheless. The Kether Empire acknowledges responsibility for initiating conflict with the human fleet, he said. We accept the terms agreed upon with Earth's military delegation, with Admiral Foster, and agrees to pay reparations for the unprovoked aggression. The admission rippled through the assembly like a shockwave. The Kefir Empire, long a pillar of galactic power, had just conceded guilt and defeat. An era ended in that moment, and something far more uncertain began. Admiral Morrison sat among the human delegation, his presence carrying symbolic weight. His captivity had taught him more about alien military culture than any textbook. Now, promoted to Fleet Admiral, Morrison was tasked with shaping Earth's future strategies for hostile species. For too long, the consortium's rules have favored ancient empires, Morrison testified. They allowed powerful civilizations to act without consequence, while younger species were left defenseless. Humanity proposes a change, equal protection for all, regardless of age or strength. His proposal was a direct challenge to the existing hierarchy. Under the new doctrine, any unprovoked assault on a consortium member, regardless of technological advancement, would be met with coordinated retaliation. No species could dominate others without consequence. Dr. Helen Wright, now director of Sino-Technological Exchange, stepped to the platform during the technology session. Her time among the Kefir scientists had yielded significant insights and advantages. Inadvertently, the Kefir gave us access to propulsion systems and advanced weapons we had never imagined, Wright explained. Earth is willing to share selected technologies, such as quantum communication and adaptive shielding, with member species, under the condition that security protocols are upheld. The offer was strategic, generous enough to build trust, reserved enough to prevent misuse. Earth would not make the same mistake the Kefir had, revealing too much, too fast. Delegate Yomar of the Scientific Collective voiced the unease many felt. Human capabilities are vast. How do we know Earth won't dominate the way the Kefir once did? Parker answered without hesitation. Judge us by what we've done. We didn't seize territory. We didn't demand colonies or tribute. We responded to aggression with measured force and asked only for restitution. Earth acted with restraint, not conquest. 3 days of debate followed. Finally, High Arbiter Velian addressed the hall. The final vote has been cast, he declared. 41 member civilizations vote in favor of full human membership. 6 vote against. It was done. The Galactic Trade Consortium had just admitted its youngest and perhaps most dangerous member. Ambassador Parker signed the charter that placed Earth beside civilizations that had mastered spaceflight while humanity still lit fires in caves. The ceremony was broadcast across the galaxy. For many watching, it marked not just a new chapter, but a new age. Consortium protocols were immediately revised. A new warning was included in all diplomatic and first contact transmissions. Do not underestimate the species known as humans. Though their ships may appear modest and their numbers small, Earth's military capabilities far exceed initial assumptions. Unprovoked aggression will result in rapid and overwhelming retaliation. Back on Earth, Morrison was celebrated as a hero. But beneath the applause, he understood the truth. Peace would always be precarious. Earth had earned its place through sacrifice, not diplomacy. And the galaxy knew now, humans would not go quietly. Dr. Wright established her new headquarters in Geneva, overseeing the careful integration of alien technology into Earth's infrastructure. The quantum networks that had saved Morrison's battle data were expanded to cover every colony and outpost. Never again would humanity face the void alone. The shattered Kafir Empire, meanwhile, was placed under strict military limitations. Zexal, once a symbol of power, was stripped of title and exiled to a forgotten world, his name now synonymous with failure. A living warning carved into galactic memory. Fleet Admiral Morrison's final doctrine was simple. Earth's ships would look peaceful, but carry within them the eyes and ears of an entire fleet. Quantum communicators, full-spectrum sensor arrays, hidden systems ready to respond with impossible precision. No more surprises, no more helplessness. The next species that tried to strike at humanity would not face a dozen explorers. They would face the full strength of Earth's interstellar war machine. And somewhere in the shadows of space, as new ships launched from Earth's rebuilt shipyards and human diplomats walked boldly through alien halls, the galaxy repeated a hard-learned truth.